Words are about to be spoken on the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy, brought to you by the Ad Free Shows podcast, Heat and Wrestling, according to Alba Networks. I'm Jon Alba. That's the broken one, the woken one, the spoken one himself, playing the greatest hits from Providence, Rhode Island. It's Mr. Matt Hardy. We are post-Slammiversary, and we're going to be talking all about Slammiversary this week. An exciting one ahead on the Extreme Life. The new TNA Tag Team Champions, the Hardys.
That's it. The new tag team champions of the world. Four times TNA World Tag Team Champions. It was really good. Slammiversary was a good night for Matt and Jeff Hardy. I was really thrilled with how the match went. I was thrilled that we were able to have a ladder match, and I was thrilled with the creativity we threw into the match as well.
Yes, we will talk all about that match here on the Extreme Life, as I'm very excited to talk about it because I agree that it was a very creative ladder match, and I'm excited to dive into it a little more with you and learn some of the X's and O's that went into it, and we'll talk a little bit about some of the rest of the Slammiversary card and the event that was. It was a big night over at UBS Arena on Long Island. Not in Long Island, folks. On Long Island. Big, big, big difference. But I can tell you something else. We will not be on New Jersey. We are going to be in New Jersey for a freshly announced Hardy Party.
Hardy Party!
A matter of, about a week here as we release this? It's going to be a week. We are a week away from this Hardy Party at the Williams Center in beautiful downtown Rutherford, New Jersey, right where GCW is being held. It's Matt Hardy. It's Jeff Hardy. A live Extreme Life of Matt Hardy. A live Jeff Hardy concert coming to the Williams Center. Tickets, man, they're super affordable. This is going to be a great show. 9 o'clock start time, simultaneous to GCW. This one came together pretty quickly.
This one did come together very quickly. This is something Tony Hunter, the guy who kind of helps us put these together, he'd been working on it for a while, but the GCW folk just got back to him last second. So this came with less than 2 weeks notice, but it is what it is, man. When we're ready to throw a Hardy Party, we're gonna rock and roll. We're gonna throw a big one.
And you guys are going to be showing up on the GCW show beforehand, correct?
We are, yeah. We are going to be doing an in-ring promo for GCW and part of this whole agreement, and then we're going to be using their venue to throw the Hardy Party.
Okay, so guys, here's how you get your tickets. You go to hardyboyslive.com, HARDYBOYZ live.com, and it's going to take you to a landing page. It's going to have you pick from 2 shows to attend, because this ain't the only one we're doing. We're also heading up to Kowloon the next week, the world-famous Kowloon, just outside of Boston, where this you're doing a full VIP meet, greet, eat, and delete for this one, plus general admission tickets available for the show, live Matt Hardy podcast, live Jeff Hardy concert, meet and greet as well, where you can bring a signed item, and you'll have an opportunity to get a chance to meet the Hardys if you would like to. This is an all-out affair. It's going to be super, super great. Been talking with some of the folks over at Kowloon. The excitement is really starting to build. You were talking about it. You were on Busted Open this week. You were talking about it there. Man, Matt and Jeff Hardy taking over SummerSlam weekend, taking over the weekend after in New England. We got Limitless Wrestling there. This is like the summer of Hardy here.
Yeah, it's been a big Hardy summer in many, many ways. You know, there's been so many noteworthy events. There's been so many noteworthy matches and whatnot we've had. It's been a great summer, and we're going to keep rocking and rolling with these Hardy Parties on in New Jersey and in Kowloon at Kowloon's.
That is, again, hardyboyslive.com. Get your tickets now. You don't want to miss these events. These are awesome interactive events. No one else in wrestling does shows like this. They are super unique, and it's featuring the greatest tag team of all time. And that's a debate we're going to have today, because some of the events that unfolded at Slammiversary may have put that into question in the public discourse. So we'll dive in onto that.
And you're right, John. These events really are special. There's no other wrestling tag team. There's no other wrestler that does events like this at all. These are very unique, special events, and you get to come and see original content right from the jump. You know, whenever you come out to a Hardy Party, myself and John, we're going to be doing live new episodes, both in New Jersey and then also in Massachusetts. So it's going to be super exciting, and you get to see Jeff do a concert. I mean, he's very passionate about this. It reminds me of when we first started wrestling, how passionate he was about pro wrestling, how he wanted to thrive and better himself, and that's what he's doing with his music now. So it's an event you do not want to miss.
Yeah, can't wait for these shows, especially for me, Jersey, right around the corner from where I'm living, my home state, get a chance to show up there. SummerSlam weekend, yeah, I know the thing is, you're not working for WWE. You guys are with TNA, you're doing your own thing, but you wanna steal the headlines here, SummerSlam weekend. I think there's a good opportunity for the Hardys to do that. GCW, Hardy Party, you're signing WrestleCon, correct?
Yes.
So
Both Friday and Saturday. We'll be at WrestleCon. We'll be going from beginning to end as we do every single autograph session.
yeah, so this is a big deal. Come see the Hardys while they are at their hottest right now, the TNA World Tag Team Champions, on the heels of Slammiversary and all that went down there. Busy week for you, I'd have to assume. Lots of travel. You get a chance to spend some time with the family at all?
I did. I was home for a full day. So I ended up getting a Tuesday at home. So, yeah, this is a crazy, insane week because there's a couple things every single day. Today, we're doing a live TV show. We'll be taping some as well. And then following that, Jeff and I do the post-show meet and greet. So that's going to be a long night, a late night. Tomorrow, we're taping more TV, and we're doing the post-show meet and greet. And then we're going to be up at 4 o'clock, 4:30 in the morning to go to the airport, catch the first flight. We had to connect in Charlotte back to Raleigh, and then straight from the airport to GalaxyCon, where we're going to be meeting, greeting, and deleting all day long. And following that, there's a wrestling show, and they really wanted myself and Jeff to be on the show, and they ended up paying our fee, and we're doing our show on Saturday night. Then I'll go home for a few hours. I'll drive right back, do GalaxyCon the next day in Raleigh, and then following that, I'm driving about an hour and a half away to catch an AML show in Albemarle, North Carolina, where I'll team George South against the Andersons. So I have a hell of a weekend lined up.
Goodness gracious. That's CW and Brock, I assume?
Yes.
That's kind of a fun match. You and George South versus CW and Brock. Is Arn going to be there too?
Yeah, Arn's going to be there in the squad. Apparently, George South's been trying to get someone to gain revenge, get a little comeuppance against the Andersons, and it hasn't happened yet. So he reached out to me, and I guess this is the time. This is the time we get that comeuppance for George South.
Maybe George South should be prepared for some comeuppance with those early days of you running with the Italian Stallion. Maybe you pull a fast one on him. He's got to be careful.
Yeah, I'm excited to take my booking fee, 66%.
That's going to say, right? You got to take the large majority of that and leave him with the wee fee.
Yeah,
that he's on hand for. I mean, that'll be cool going against Brock and CW. Is it not insane how much of a spitting image of Arn Brock is?
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild, yeah.
He looks
there's no question he's his son.
There is no question about that. And I know you're a big Arn guy. I mean, you had a chance to interact with him a lot during your WWE days, I'd have to assume, right?
Oh, yeah. Arn's the best. I thought Arn is one of the greatest producers slash coaches that has ever done this, because I think he's very good at understanding people's persona and their character, and he's able to weave that into whatever their in-ring work is. And I think he does a really good job of that.
I feel like he's one of those old timers who's pretty open-minded to things.
He is pretty open-minded. I just know whenever he would do something that was a Hardy Boys match, he kind of got the gist of what we were doing and knew we needed to do some extreme Hardy Boy stuff. Whenever I was doing Matt Hardy V1, he understood how I was like this over-the-top delusional heel. He gave me so many great ideas about different things to do to like remain a heel and do entertaining stuff and like, get your ass kicked, have to put your tail between your legs and powder out of the ring, whatever. And then whenever I was doing Woken Matt there, he was like, well, let's think about this character is very unorthodox and describe it to me a little bit. And he asked for a whole description. And then he came up with some pretty good ideas for Woken Matt, Broken Matt. And I really enjoyed working with Arn over the years.
And you can't underestimate just how good of a tag team wrestler he was in his heyday. I mean, he's one of the best ever. And I could watch those matches, Arn and Tully, any day of the week. They hold up just as well today as they did back then. And,
absolutely.
It's one of the rare tag teams where things do still hold up just as well as from back then as now. When Bully's in the ring with you, and we'll talk about it during the Slammiversary review, when he talks about how the Road Warriors are the greatest tag team of all time. Like, I don't know about that. I don't know. That got some people talking a little bit about the Road Warriors there. But
yeah,
I'm not sure if their stuff holds up quite the same.
Not gonna lie. I think Bubba knows that we have been proclaiming ourselves the goats. We've got a lot of people buzzing about that. A lot of people are coming to us and saying it. So he knows we're making a pretty good run for it. So he threw the Road Warriors out there just to try and slow down the momentum. But I think if anything, it actually just sped up the momentum.
I don't disagree with that. Not one bit. Like I said, we are talking Slammiversary here on the podcast this week. Not a super newsworthy week in the wrestling realm. Some things inside, some things outside. Ozzy Osbourne passed WWE Hall of Famer. Did you get a chance to interact with Ozzy back when he made some of his SmackDown appearances back in like mid 2000s or so?
I did. Yeah. Ozzy was a unique cat, man. He really is. Like, when you talk about a legend, when you talk about an icon, I mean, Ozzy stands up to that in every capacity, in every single way. He was a really interesting, unique cat, no doubt.
Did you have any personal interaction with him?
I mean, just pleasantries, just a little small talk.
Yeah,
nothing major, but it was cool to know that cool to know that I met him. That I met one of the greatest rock stars of all time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Shane Helms told a really funny story on social media this week. It must have been around like 09 when Raw was doing the guest hosts and everything, and Ozzy and Sharon were the guest hosts for the show. And I guess the company impetus at the time, like they were really saying, "Hey, we're PG now. Behave. Nobody do anything outside the box. Just stay within the lines." And Ozzy steps out there first thing on the show, and he just looks at the crowd, and goes, "What's up, motherfuckers?"
There you have it.
And, I think that's so great. I mean, one of the greatest true like living legend rock stars that existed. Just not many like him ever. And I'm so glad that he got to have that farewell show a few weeks ago too.
Yeah. I mean, once again, he even went out like a rock star, this last show, publicly announces this is my last appearance, the last time I'm going to do a concert like this. And then ends up checking out. I mean, that's some rock star shit right there in itself.
He said he wanted to die on stage, and he came pretty close. So that's not too bad on the Prince of Darkness's behalf. So shout out to the WWE Hall of Famer, Ozzy Osbourne. Trick Williams had a segment with The Undertaker I know you want to talk about here, and Trick is someone we're going to discuss on this podcast, but on NXT, he had an interaction with The Undertaker. Ended up eating a choke slam in Houston the night before on Raw. He cut a big long promo on him. What were your thoughts on how all that went down?
I mean, I thought it was a good move to elevate Trick, put a little more equity on Trick. I think the fact that he is the TNA champion, you see him every week on NXT, and the fact that he was out there and Undertaker, was going to meet him in the ring. They were going to have the summit in the ring. And just the promo that Taker did on him, he was really cool. He was American Badass. He kind of even came out to the Kid Rock music. But it was a thing that was very good for Trick. And I love seeing Trick with people in there like being elevated. So I think this TNA run has been really good for Trick. I think it has been good for TNA as well. I think it's really interesting. It's pissed a lot of people off in some ways that TNA has a couple of the titles, but I think it is starting a lot of conversations that are making people talk about TNA, that are making people tune into TNA. And I think it's been a good thing. Having Trick out there with The Undertaker, I thought was a fabulous segment. And I loved how it was done, man. It made Trick come off as a bigger star.
What's your take on Trick in general, just as a performer?
I think Trick is extremely athletic, extremely talented. He's still kind of learning on the fly. Pro wrestling is something he is still learning. He is in the process of, and he's very much like a sponge. He's trying to soak up every bit of information, every bit of intel he can get. He's really open to learning. He's open to criticism. I think he has a great attitude. He has an amazing look. I think that helps him. He looks like a star, and his performance and his persona and character is getting tuned in more and more and more. And I think as that continues to grow and expand, he's just going to become a bigger star.
Yeah, it's pretty wild because he's probably top 5 in wrestling in terms of like charisma. Like he's one of the most charismatic wrestlers in the industry today. It's just amazing how much confidence he has when he speaks. And he's like a legit shit talker, right? Like he's really good at that stuff. And he knows how to talk himself up and keep his opponent on a pedestal while still talking down to them at the same time. Right. And I think he's really good at that stuff. He's a great athlete, like you said. I just think it's a matter of still putting some of the X's and O's together for him. And once he's able to do that, the sky's the limit for a guy like him. I mean, he's someone who could be a legit big-time top star in pro wrestling and in the not-so-distant future. And I think he's on the right track for that. It's funny, when he started in NXT, he was just kind of Carmelo Hayes' side piece, and it was like, yeah, he could talk, but what else does he have? And
Yeah,
I think he's getting a chance to show that quite a bit.
yeah, he's really blossomed over the last few months, and I think this, he had that short little NXT title run, and now having this TNA title run, I think it's been really good, and I think it's helping him gain a lot of confidence in performance.
Well, and he's in that really unique area where he was the top babyface on the brand for a while, right? And now he's the top heel on the brand.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd have to imagine that it's not easy to sustain yourself in both of those roles.
Yeah, I mean it's tough, especially to keep momentum. Whether you are a good guy or a bad guy. I mean, once you get rolling and you're hot and you're trying to keep all the momentum on your side, it is hard. You have to be different. You have to be creative. You have to tweak things. You have to add new elements to your character or your moves or whatever it may be. It's a constant growth and evolution process. I mean, that's one of the things that has been so challenging to us. And I think that's also one of the reasons Jeff and I have been so successful, is because we are always willing to tweak things. We're willing to add things. We're willing to update our arsenal in the ring. We're willing to update our characters and whatnot. It's just important to change like that.
Speaking of momentum, someone you and I are both familiar with, Eazy-E, Eric Bischoff.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Rosie here in the audience says Eric Bischoff thinks TNA will be number 2 in 1 year. These comments came on the Ariel Helwani show, and I don't want to paraphrase him or because I don't have the verbatim quote, but it was something along the lines of they were asked about AEW and they were talking about TNA, and he felt that TNA, if it gets the right media rights deal, within a year will surpass AEW as the number 2 company in the country. In the world, really. Now, you are a TNA guy. You used to wrestle for AEW. What are your thoughts on that?
I think TNA can have a lot of growth in the next year. I mean, if you look at the events we were doing a year ago from now, like the growth has been massive from a year ago to now. If we go from today to a year ahead, I do think there's going to be more growth. I think TNA is going to continue to be successful, but I don't think our
the business model.
I don't think our goal is to be better than AEW or anywhere else. I think we're just competing with ourselves. We want to be as good as we can possibly be and make our brand as strong as we can possibly make it, with the talent and everybody else. I mean, they have a very strong TV deal. A lot of it is going to depend on the TV deal we get. But if we do get a great TV deal, if we land on a platform that actually reaches people, it will be a game changer. And I think TNA will be very strong. It'll be very healthy. And it's going to be a force to be reckoned with in pro wrestling if we do land on a platform that actually gets out there that people can get.
I agree with all that, but that was also a very political answer of yours. Like, I mean, do you think that there's a possibility that, and it's also, I should clarify here, it's like, what are the metrics that you're using to decide what makes a company the number 2 company? Is it viewership? Is it how much money you're taking in? Is it what you're paying talent? Like, what are the metrics that you're using to decide how you're ranking the promotions? Like, WWE is the industry leader. It's probably always going to be the industry leader. I don't see it changing in any way at any time soon. But I don't know, man. When I just look at the business models, as I was saying before, I don't think that they're really comparable. And there's no shame in TNA being a quality number 3 promotion out there right now, especially when we need more places for talent to work. We need places with good distribution for places to work. I just realistically don't see any path to them being the number 2 promotion, given how much money AEW has, what their business model is, and what their distribution is.
I mean, AEW right now has unlimited money with the content, but I mean, it truly is unlimited. They spend a shit ton of money, and they're not going to stop spending money anytime soon. I mean, I do think in a year, I don't know exactly what metrics Eric was acknowledging. Like you said, I hadn't seen that. I think I did see the clip somewhere online, but I hadn't seen it when you first told me about it. But I mean, I think there could be a possibility that TNA is selling tickets. It maybe could be comparable to whatever AEW is doing every single week, especially if we start going live regularly. We're going live tonight, but if it becomes like a live TV show, at least like every other week or something like that, I think we can sell a ton of tickets. As far as like actually being number two, I don't know if that is realistic as far as TNA in a year from now, but I do think there could be major growth where people would be like, wow, I like TNA better than AEW. There's some people that would just like the more classic pro wrestling style of a TNA if it was on a big platform and more everybody could see it if it was easily accessible or whatever, as opposed to the AEW product, which, like you said, and you say this all the time, it's an alternative. It really is an alternative. They're doing things kind of different, and TNA is much more of a WWE based pro wrestling show.
Well, and that's why TNA has to find a way to fit within that mold while still having its own identity too. Like, hear me out here, and then this is not criticism of TNA in any way. Just speaking from a logic standpoint, if you have WWE, they're the McDonald's, right? They're the big brand, they're the number one, and they have this one style of pro wrestling that has enormous reach. What is going to be the incentive for someone to check out another brand of that same exact style of pro wrestling that's not on the same level as WWE? So that's where TNA then has to challenge itself. Okay, how can we maintain that while giving something a little different that entices people to want to watch us? Because WWE's got 4 brands. They got Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and Evolve right now. So what's the incentive to get someone to watch the same kind of wrestling as you just alluded to? What is the allure to that? And I think that's what TNA needs to figure out as it continues to try to grow over that next year here.
You just tell them the GOATs, the Hardys are on.
There you go. That's right. No, but actually, like it is important to have the veterans like you guys. But one thing I said to you is if TNA does get a new media rights distribution deal, the first priority is going to be to go live every week. I understand that. But the second thing that I would do, lock up some young talent that you can really build the brand around. The Leon Slater types. Sure. Like make sure that those people aren't going anywhere for a long time. That's what made TNA really successful 20 years ago when they had AJ Styles locked up. They had Samoa Joe locked up. Like you build around those guys, Christopher Daniels, and that is what can help people identify with the product.
Yeah. I mean, it is important. It's always important to have a strong foundation of young talent that you can use to build around, and the people that you hope are going to grow into your pillars in your company. And, that is something that TNA would be very smart to do.
Like Mike Santana, right? Like you don't want to have the conversation about him jumping to WWE. You want to try to lock someone like him up and make him a face of your brand. So that's where I think TNA would have to start in order to really continue to build that momentum, because while you guys are fantastic for them, and you really are, a lot of the draws that TNA has had in the last year may not be there a year from now. And that's where you need to find ways to lock guys and gals down. So we'll see what happens.
We're getting there. Work in progress. But I know
it doesn't happen overnight. I get that. From
the early numbers I heard, the pay-per-view is one of the most bought pay-per-views that we've ever done, which is great. And it's so strange. Whenever I went to the airport and checked in Raleigh yesterday, I had 8 people congratulate me on winning the titles. I said, "You watched the show?" And 4 of those people did, which was wild, which never happens.
Keep that in mind for our conversation here today. We're talking about Slammiversary. We're talking about the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy. And if we're on the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy, you know what I got to ask, my friend. Please hit us with that Matt fact.
Matt fact: Matt refuses to wear white whilst traveling.
As you wear white?
Yeah, but not when I'm traveling, man. I'm just such a messy person. If I'm eating or drinking or whatever, I'll get it dirty every single time. I put white on just because I was going to use that Matt fact today.
Okay. Respect.
That was intentionally done. And of course, I'd had a nice tan. I was going, after I spray my tan, it'll look really nice tomorrow after I wash it off and everything. So I have a white shirt, which will look great. And of course, my tanner bled through my bag and got on my white shirt.
Bro.
My plain white shirt.
Bro. I knew you guys were winning. You didn't tell me if you were winning, but I knew you guys were winning because I was near the backstage area before the show, and
Mhm.
I look down and I see this. If you're watching on YouTube, I go, man, that's a tan that would have beat Hogan at Starrcade '97 right there.
That's it. Came in and ready.
You were primed and ready to go there just before your ladder match. And, being primed and ready to go is a very important part of life, Matt Hardy.
It is.
Especially in the bedroom, because Blue Chew is going to make sure that you are primed and ready to go whenever you step foot first or perhaps dick first into the bedroom, to make sure that you are breaking the walls down, as your old pal Chris Jericho would say. See, Blue Chew isn't just a tablet, it's a cheat code for your crotch. Stronger, harder, longer lasting. Like someone gave your downstairs a pep talk and maybe even a gym membership. Man, you've barely been home with Queen Rebecca, but I know when you finally get that downtime, things are about to be broken. Is that what the word on the street is?
Yeah, business is about to pick up. Things are looking up, John. Things are looking up.
Gonna be tougher than a $2 steak down there.
Yes, indeed. It's going to be a rock. It's going to be a rock solid request, and I am going to do everything I can to put a smile on her face.
There you go. Well, with Blue Chew, you don't got to worry about that. You know you're going to be putting a smile on her face, because it's not just about performance. It's about your legacy, that Hardy legacy, or perhaps your third legacy here. You got to give her something to talk about for months to come, because when you lay it down, you know your girl and her friends, all they're talking about is how it gets up. Nothing makes you more of a legend than a little Blue Chew. So discover your options at BlueChew.com. We got a special deal for our listeners. As always, get your first month of Blue Chew free. Just use promo code HARDY at checkout. Just pay $5 for shipping. That's it. That's all you got to do. Promo code HARDY, HARDY. Emphasize HARD, of course. Join Blue Chew's mission to upgrade humanity one thrust at a time. Head to BlueChew.com for more details and safety information. And a big thanks to them for sponsoring the extreme life of Matt Hardy. Okay. Talking about legacy here. The Hardys continue to build their legacy at TNA Slammiversary, walking out as TNA World Tag Team Champions. Take down AJ Francis and Casey Navarro. Take down the Quasi-Rascals, because unfortunately Trey Miguel was hurt, and the Nemeth brothers. It was a very creative, fun ladder match, my friend. Tell us how it all came together, and of course what everyone wants to know about that swinging rope ladder that Jeff ended up climbing to win the whole damn thing.
Yeah, we have had that one in our back pocket for almost 20 years. Almost 20 years, which is wild. And I think there was a ladder match we were talking about. I think it was maybe like when we did TLC 3, we had an idea like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if there was, a ladder. I think someone was doing the rigging in the building.
Yeah, the rigging ladders. Yeah, that's what
they
they are.
We had to show up early, and someone was like coming down on one of those ladders. Just, oh, what if we could do that and like drop one down, like one of the rigging ladders? That'd be really cool if we could use that, because all the other ladders were broken or whatever. And that's kind of where the idea came to be. And we've had that, but we've never been in a venue and building where we could just get a ladder like that and set it up and have it come down. So we had the opportunity, and they were able to do it at UBS, and they were willing to entertain us and let us do it.
Yeah, Dave watching says, great performance Sunday. It's so rare seeing a ladder spot and finish that I've never seen before.
Thank you.
And that's one of the hard parts, right? Like, we've seen so many ladder matches over the years, you especially part of so many of them. Thinking outside the box, I can't imagine that's an easy thing to do at this juncture.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's tricky. I think that the biggest secret to having an entertaining ladder match is just try and do things a little different. Try and present something that the crowd has never seen before. And it's so crazy. Like when AJ and KC went out, like they broke the shit out of those ladders. And it's so crazy because those ladders did break that Jeff had the Rascals on from the Swanton. Like I saw there were like places in them where they did crack, but the way they were still standing and they were like still solid stretched across after he did 2 Swanton bombs where he had to crouton them to try and break the ladders, whatever. But I was able to just like, hey, look, they're broke. We got to find something else. So that was our whole mindset. The psychology behind that was that we were going to have this match. We do tons of teases and false finish where people try and get the titles and whatnot. And then eventually we get to a point in the match where all of the ladders are broken and we have to go get another ladder. And I had a ladder in the back, which was going to be a safety in case something did happen when this ladder came down. But the the ladder that actually dropped, the chain link ladder, came down perfectly. There was a chance it could have got caught or stuck on something. I guess it did in one of the test runs they did. But we did it earlier in the day, and then we did it there, and it was both perfect. When we did it both times we did it that day.
So I hate to break in here, but we got some pretty significant breaking news that just happened. TMZ, and this is again, this is all fluid here as we record this, but TMZ is reporting that Hulk Hogan has died.
Oh no, really?
They have reported this literally just seconds into this.
Wow.
So live reaction here on air. Wrestling legend Hulk Hogan has died at 71 years old, TMZ Sports has learned. Medics were dispatched to the 71-year-old WWE legend's Clearwater, Florida home early Thursday morning, with operators stating it was regarding a cardiac arrest. We're told a slew of police cars and EMTs were parked outside Hogan's home, and the icon was carried on a stretcher and into an ambulance. Just a few weeks ago, Hogan's wife Sky denied rumors he was in a coma, stating his heart was strong as he recovered from surgeries. We broke the story last month. There were rumblings Hogan was on his deathbed, but we were told at the time he was just dealing with symptoms of a neck procedure he underwent in May.
Wow. That's shocking. Very, very sad. Very sad to hear. Geez, I mean, Hulk Hogan is definitely one of the greatest guys to ever do it. You know, Hulk Hogan,
he's the biggest name in wrestling history.
He is. I mean, he revolutionized things, you know, in the 80s whenever he became the top star in WWF, WWE, and pro wrestling wouldn't be what it is today without Hulk Hogan. That's shocking.
Yeah. My phone's blowing up right now. Yeah, I don't even really know what to say. You know, the rumors had been around that he was very ill the past few weeks, but it was very much up in the air as to what the exact situation was.
Yeah, it was really hard to know the legitimacy of those comments. You know, like people are always
right, and yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think we got to pivot here. I think we got to talk about this because, and we can talk about Slammiversary at the end of this just briefly.
Sure.
But this is one of the biggest stories that we're probably ever going to cover here on the Extreme Life.
No doubt.
Hulk, someone you knew for a very long time, that you obviously grew up watching, and then got a chance to work with on quite a few different occasions there. And your brother worked very closely with Hogan in TNA, of course, with a lot of the stuff that happened there. But controversial figure in a lot of different ways. I mean, what do you, when I say Hulk Hogan, like, what's the first thing that comes to your mind as someone who's had dealings with him and been around him for so long?
I mean, when you say Hulk Hogan, the first thing I think of is like he's the number one guy on a Mount Rushmore. You know, he's just a guy who revolutionized pro wrestling, and he kind of made it what it is today in so many ways. He was the guy that was in the vanguard of the movement, you know, whenever Vince launched WrestleMania and started making it a big entertainment brand, and kind of changed the whole concept of pro wrestling. When pro wrestling became sports entertainment, I think Hulk Hogan is kind of he is the face of that whole movement, you know, what pro wrestling ultimately ended up being today.
Yeah. This is like the hallmark, the foundation for WWE even becoming what it is. But as noted, very controversial in his own right. You guys as kids, I know you were huge on the Macho Man, but were either of you running around red and yellow? Was that ever one of your things?
I mean, we enjoyed Hogan, no doubt. I mean, because we were big Macho guys, I knew that whenever the Mega Power split, I got so upset because I knew Hogan was going to win the title. I knew he was going to take Macho Man's finish and then no sell it, kick out Hulk up and beat him. And that ended up happening at WrestleMania 5. But no, we obviously had a lot of love for Hulk. I mean, he was a guy who he was the face. In wrestling, he was the guy. He was the face of wrestling at that time.
Yeah. And I do apologize for putting you on the spot here, because I know regardless of what your relationship was with him, still someone that you knew as a colleague.
Yeah, it was always fun. I always got along. I never stayed in contact with him. Like once again, like Flair is crazy. He'll reach out and once in a while we'll text or whatever else, but like Hogan, I never was super close to him, but I was always friendly. And every time I'd see Jimmy Hart, he'd say, "Oh, the Hulkster said, tell the Hardy Boys hello. He loves you guys. He loves you guys." So I always got along great with Hulk and never had any issues with him.
What were his thoughts on the Hardys? Did he ever share those with you?
I mean, he enjoyed what we did. He knows that we kind of created all this ladder nonsense and it changed the business in some capacity. So I think there was probably a level of respect for him from him, considering he knows that he's the guy that kind of revolutionized pro wrestling. And whenever it was like the rock and wrestling era, he's the guy that kind of ushered that in. He knows we kind of ushered in the ladder matches and table matches and TLC matches, and we kind of made that a staple of wrestling going forward, and that's going to be a big part of our legacy. And I think he had respect for that. Probably a little upset that probably thinks all these kids are fucking up the business doing all this crazy stuff. You just got to work, brother. Keep it simple. But yeah, he was always cool, and he seemed to have lots of love for both Jeff and Matt.
When he went over to WCW and he's trying the whole red and yellow stuff. At first, it's not really working. The NWO turn happens, Bash at the Beach. How did that affect your perception of wrestling at the time? I mean, you're there in the very early days of your wrestling career trying to make it, and something totally revolutionary happens. How does that affect how you are as a performer and your perception of the industry?
We were so excited when he turned heel and joined the NWO. I mean, we were very into the business at that point, right? And I thought it was just a genius move. I thought it was so amazing. He'd always been this good guy, and he's always been like this role model type character. But for him to go out and become the bad guy and like sell out, and you could tell that people were getting a little tired of his act, the good guy role, the red and yellow. And it was great that he made that change. And him hooking up with Scott Hall and Kevin Nash was a huge deal, and something that really kind of started the boom during that Attitude Era time.
Yeah, how much were people in WWE's eyes truly on all the NWO stuff? I know you weren't there full time at that point, but you have to be taking the temperature in some capacity.
I think so. I mean, I remember when the Monday Night Wars were going on, about whenever we were doing Raw, there was always Nitros on somewhere too. And they were like, everybody was paying attention to what they were doing. And it was interesting too, because they would try and, it was just so competitive. And I know there were times where I think if they realized like some segment was later, they would probably even change some of the Raw shows, whatever. I'm sure Nitro would do the same. They would change it. It was such a competitive time, but it was also such a neat time. Like looking back in hindsight, it was just so amazing that there was two shows going on head to head, and they were doing this just massive, these monumental audiences, and people were into it. So many people were watching pro wrestling at that time. It was insane.
Yeah, they certainly were. It's the biggest audience that wrestling truly ever had in terms of viewership and eyes on it. And everything Hogan did there was massively important to the industry, for better or for worse. And as we know, the fallout that would happen with WCW, alleged that he had creative control, the whole incident with Russo in 2000 that would ultimately lead to him departing.
Right.
I mean, I feel like that's kind of the encompassment of Hogan's career, right? It's like there's a lot of good that came with it, and then there's also a lot of other stuff that maybe impacted the industry in either negative or a non-productive way. Like the creative control stuff was a massive part of WCW's downfall, if you believe a lot of people on how that happened. So do you remember what his reputation was internally as WCW was coming to a close and the rumors were starting to come that, the NWO might jump over to Vince and you guys?
I don't know. I mean, I don't I can't say that I was like on the pulse of like how people thought Hogan was handling WCW stuff during that period when he was there with WCW. I mean, obviously, I was in the mix and we were going nonstop, going and running really hard with WWE. The schedule was super intense at that time too. But I do know whenever it was closing down and the NWO were going to come over and do something for a small amount of time at WWE, I thought it was neat. I thought it was neat that they might get that one last run there, and that Hulk would kind of get a last run and kind of go out on a good note when it was all said and done, especially after the closure of WCW. And I think he really did have something special when he did the match with The Rock at WrestleMania 18, which we've talked about in the past. I mean, that's one of the most amazing crowd reactions I've ever seen, ever heard, been a part of. And he ended up being a babyface, which is wild. And he kind of did get to go out on that traditional Hulk Hogan role model persona there for a little bit.
I mean, were there concerns from the locker room about them coming in, though? I know you said you were personally excited, but do you remember hearing any buzz about?
I'm sure there was, especially with the top guys. I mean, because they're politicers. You know, with Hogan and Nash and Scott Hall, you know, they knew they would be three people that would politic, that would try and get as much TV time as they could, that would, you know, try and go over on as many people as they could or whatever. They knew that they're looking at this as a business and they're looking to better themselves. They're not necessarily guys that had the mindset of the greater good. They were looking to get their shit in, and they were trying to get the company running on them. They wanted to be the fuel that was going to take the company to the next level. You know, that's not always it, but I feel like by around that time, Vince was done with anybody's bullshit. Like nobody was going to pull that with Vince when it was all said and done at this time, because he'd been around and he'd had people take advantage of him, or people try and use him or take advantage of him, and I don't think that was happening anymore.
What do you remember about Vince's relationship with him at the time?
I think Vince had a special place in his heart for Hogan, because I mean he's the guy that put Vince on the map. I mean, you know, Vince rolled the dice and put everything on the line whenever he was doing that first WrestleMania, and Hogan was the guy that he was betting on. And I think that meant a lot to him, the fact that he bet everything on Hogan and the Hulkamania, and that's how he branded WWE in so many ways, and it ultimately became a success. They had their falling out. There were different things that happened, but I think whenever they got back together, I think it did mean a lot that he had a good, friendly relationship with Vince again.
I mean, it was good and friendly for the time, but you know, it would back and forth over the years, of course, and things would change quite a bit. Yeah, he'd have his WrestleMania match with. What do you remember about that? That's actually something we've never talked about. He has the WrestleMania match with Vince at 19, and you know that's the show you open with Ray, and you have the Cruiserweight Championship match. They have their little street fight at WrestleMania 19. Do you have any memories of that?
I mean, the one thing that stands out is when you have a bloody Vince, you know, popping his head over the apron with that crazy smile. That's the one thing that stands out to me about that, first and foremost. I remember thinking, like, it was an interesting story he was telling, and it was one of those that was kind of directed at the people that were a little more in the know of pro wrestling. And I remember thinking that, like, Vince was working really hard out there, and he was busting his ass to try to make this into an entertaining match. And from what I remember, it seemed like it was okay, and they did a pretty good job at telling a decent story in that match.
Yeah, Vince had to put his working boots on for that, and we can help you put working boots on here with our friends over at Brunt. Matt Hardy, you live in the forest. It is not easy trekking around, getting things done over by the Lake of Reincarnation, the dilapidated boat. But when you're rocking your Brunt boots, workwear feels nice and comfortable, doesn't it?
It certainly does feel comfortable. And no matter how deep the mud is, no matter how much it's rained, when I'm pulling in Skarsgård right off the Lake of Reincarnation, my Brunt boots, they take care of me, man.
I feel like if you had some Brunt boots during the final deletion, I don't think it would have even been as close as it ended up being between you and Jeff.
Yeah, I'd probably had him. I hadn't taken care of in 90 seconds.
Yeah, I think it would have been super, super one and done there. Oh, Jeff, you see, Brunt's best selling Marin boots are not only built for the toughest job sites, they're completely waterproof, whether it's the rain or standing water or the Lake of Reincarnation. Your feet are going to stay dry. From oily workshop floors to muddy farm fields and everywhere in between, the Marin's 6-inch soft toe is built for workers across a variety of trades. See, Brunt isn't just about work boots. They offer a full range of high-performance gear built for tough jobs, from heavy-duty work pants to weather-resistant jackets. Brunt designs are durable, reliable workwear that help you stay protected and productive in any condition. Choosing work boots used to mean sacrificing comfort or durability, but Brunt thought that was all BS. So they built tough work boots that feel great from day one. No breaking, no sore feet, because people out there are doing the real work, and you shouldn't have to choose between comfort and durability when you are doing that. Eric Gerard, who's the founder, he grew up blue collar and he started Brunt Workwear after his friends in the trades kept telling him that big brands had stopped listening and they hadn't changed in more than a century. They'd sold out to become fashion brands. So his buddies encouraged him to start a brand built for them. And that's why all Brunt products are named after the guys he grew up with, real hardworking tradesmen. And all of Brunt's boots carry the names of real workers in the trades who test and inspire them. Brunt didn't just make a durable work boot. They reinvented comfort for the hardest workers out there. For a limited time, our listeners get $10 off at Brunt by using Hardy at checkout, Hardy. Just head to Brunt Workwear and bruntworkwear.com, I should say, and use code Hardy, Hardy, and you are all set. Even better, Brunt lets you try all their products on the job, and after you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. So please support our show. Tell them that our show sent you. This is truly one of the best deals out there, and we highly encourage you to check out Brunt. Matt loves rocking these around the forest and Hardy country, and we know that you will as well. Okay, my friend. So let's continue here. I know this was a bit of a pivot and unexpected, but got to cover the latest news and what's relevant here. And Hogan's passing, certainly one of the most significant news items of the year. As we talk about this,
No doubt.
He leaves WWE and ends up jumping ship to TNA, teaming up with Dixie Carter, teaming up with Eric Bischoff. They try to take it head-to-head with WWE. Your brother, Jeff, is a main featured player in that Hogan-Bischoff group at the time. Do you remember any reception to Jeff and Hogan? Did they have any thoughts on working with one another?
Hogan loved Jeff. He loved Jeff in that role, and he thought, I mean, he saw that Jeff had that very special it factor, which he also had, which just people were drawn to him, and he loved the fact that Jeff had that, and on top of that, he was a hell of a wrestler. On top of having a special it factor.
Yeah, and it's a very controversial period of Jeff's career. He turns heel. Was Jeff open to that and going heel and working that side of his character?
Yeah. Jeff was totally after that, and he wanted to do that. Actually, I'm pretty sure I am the one who just said, "Hey, man, you should be the Antichrist of pro wrestling." You know how it says the Antichrist ends up being someone that everybody loved, and now he becomes the most evil guy. I think that would fit you well, if you ended up doing that and joining the Immortal group, and that's what he ended up doing. And I thought that was really cool. I'm really proud of how hard Jeff worked during that time to be a heel and try and get people to boo him and relinquish his fear of being an asshole. And he did a great job.
What were his impressions of Hogan at the time?
I think he found it cool to be working with Hulk Hogan. Obviously we grew up and Hogan was it, right, in pro wrestling. So I think for Jeff to be working with him hand in hand and had full access to him and full input on everything he was doing, I think Jeff really enjoyed it. He thought Hogan was just a real laid back, good brother. He was just Jeff enjoyed his time with him.
Did you have any direct conversations with Hogan when you came in around that time, 2011?
I mean, just sometimes at the venue when I was there briefly. Nothing major, but yeah. I was always friendly with him.
What do you think about what they did to TNA and some of the fallout of all the changes that they made? They moved away from the 6-sided ring. They tried to go head to head with Raw. It didn't work. And I think a lot of people look back at that period of time as really setting TNA back quite a bit. But what's your perception of it as someone who was there?
Yeah, I mean, there were definitely some of the things that happened that did set TNA back a bit. Like that going head to head, they weren't ready. That definitely wasn't the time. It was such a different dichotomy whenever Nitro was going head to head with Raw. I mean, I kind of understand, and I can respect the fact that they were trying to make moves. They were trying to grow the brand. They were trying to do different things. But I felt like you need to keep the essence of TNA alive. And they tried to overly kind of WWE light TNA that day. And even they brought in a lot of their friends, which may not have been the best move. You know, it might have made them happy, made their friends happy, whatever, but they weren't necessarily the best moves. I mean, TNA had a vast amount of talent that were so good, like X Division guys, whatever else, and it's really important to feature those guys. It's really important to stress that X Division, because that is something that was made TNA stand out from WWE, and I think that's what really made it special, especially back in the late 2000s.
Yeah, Hogan disappears for a while from wrestling after he leaves TNA. Then he goes to WWE and he's on the Tough Enough program, and then the real controversy happens, and he has his entire there's the legal controversy that leads to the sex tape and the racial allegations against him for using the N-word, and he pretty much gets blacklisted from WWE and most of pro wrestling. He would eventually return a few years later. Talent were very split on his reintegration back into the fold. Were you there when he spoke to the locker room allegedly and addressed everyone for the first time, or had you left the company at that time?
I wasn't in there. I feel like I was at the company at that time, but I wasn't in that specific meeting. I wasn't on that show or on that brand.
Well, and essentially what he said was, you never know who's filming. Be careful about getting caught. And that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way.
Yeah,
A lot of talent have spoken out about this in the past, and it was a very split reaction. Seth Rollins would continue even into the last couple of months, talk about how much he disliked Hulk Hogan, and it became a very polarizing thing. I mean, do you have any thoughts on that reaction to everything that happened with him over the last decade?
I mean, once again, he kind of he definitely stepped in a hornet's nest and made a lot of people angry. And probably the best thing he could have done is just been straightforward and been accountable and just said, I'll try and be better. Please give me another opportunity. But he kind of danced around everything, to try and not take full accountability for it. And I think that's what pissed most people off.
Yeah. I mean, do you think that, and this is me genuinely asking, I'm not asking this as a leading question, do you think that affected his perception among wrestling fans? Or is it a generational thing? Like, I'm really curious how you feel about that as a, 50-plus-year-old performer who's known the guy for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people, society has changed so much, and there's a lot of people that is definitely going to rub the wrong way. And once again, there was never a point where he just came out and said, like, I'm sorry, I was in the wrong. I shouldn't have done this. I'm going to try and be better. I'm going to better myself. I'm going to educate myself, whatever. And people never got that. So yeah, there's definitely a percentage of the audience that was going to be resentful of Hulk Hogan because of that time period.
So I mean, what's your take on it then?
What is my take on?
Yeah, like how do you feel about? Because I think the polite way to say it is his legacy is complicated, right? Like that's the easy, straightforward way of saying it. But it's a little more nuanced than that, in my opinion. Like, how do you feel that he's going to be looked back upon now? Obviously, it's all still very fresh, and I mean, this news literally happened 20 minutes ago as we started getting into the meat and modes of our conversation. But I think Hulk Hogan's legacy is something that has been discussed for some time now, and if, whether or not it's changed as a result of the last decade plus of his life or not.
I mean, I feel like his legacy is still going to be big. A lot of people when when they die, that's when they're fully forgiven, or that's when they are given their flowers, so to say. And I think there's going to be some people that are going to hold a bit of a grudge against him, but I think the majority of the people are going to look back and look at his wrestling contributions and what he did for wrestling, how he made wrestling a mainstream sports entertainment entity and whatnot. And I think that's what he'll be credited with, and that's what he'll be remembered for.
And look, he was a huge part of the mainstream crossover between pop culture and pro wrestling.
Right.
And I wasn't even alive at the time, but I know from all my research and books I've read, I just read Mark Ramondi's great NWO book. Like, there really was such tremendous crossover in pop culture because of Hulk Hogan and his marketability as this larger than life superhero, which is pretty much how he was presented as a legitimate superhero. Without Hulk Hogan, there is no John Cena.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty much as simple as that when all is said and done. What's your feeling on all this, man, as we start to put the bow tie on this? Like how do you feel as Matt Hardy, the person, about all this?
I feel like, anytime you have someone that is a legendary performer in pro wrestling, I think it's sad. It's obviously we all die. That day is going to come for each and every one of us, no doubt. I think people are going to look back at Hulk Hogan, and I think that the primary focus is going to be how he revolutionized pro wrestling, how he turned it into sports entertainment, and how he was kind of the face of that movement, and he made things mainstream. I think that is what is going to be ultimately how people will remember him. And also the NWO thing, which really heated up the Monday Night Wars, and whenever Nitro and Raw, WCW and WWE were going head to head, I mean, that was one of the most amazing times in pro wrestling. And Hogan was obviously responsible for a lot of that as well, doing the whole NWO thing when he made that decision to turn heel, much like John Cena had done this year and the last year of his career. I think all of the bad things he has done will still be remembered, but I think a lot of people will overlook them, and they will remember Hulk Hogan for his positive contributions more than anything else.
What do you think is the biggest Hogan moment in wrestling history?
A lot of big ones. I mean, the one thing that first jumps out to me, I think about, is him slamming Andre, which they made such a big deal of. The way that match was built for WrestleMania 3 was such a huge deal. Him becoming a member of the NWO and joining Hall and Nash, that was a huge deal. The first WrestleMania that he was in with Mr. T, that was a huge deal. Him winning the title and having the title for a long, long time, being like basically the heart and soul of WWF during his first decade there, whatever. Those are the first things that jump out to me.
Yeah, I think probably the most iconic crossover moment is slamming Andre, which is funny because it's far from the first time that Andre ever got body slammed, but the way in which they positioned it made it seem like it was this massive cultural moment,
Yeah, the way it was positioned and the way they built to that was just great storytelling at that time. And their match, you go back and watch that match, it's nothing spectacular at all, but just
building. It's built around the moment, though.
Yeah, building to that big moment and doing that slam, like, it made it.
Yeah. Is the Mega Powers the greatest wrestling storyline of all time?
I don't know if it is the greatest wrestling storyline of all time, but it is one that I enjoyed, and that's when I was really on the pulse of pro wrestling. And myself and Jeff, we turned on Hogan, even though he was the good guy in that whole scenario, because we knew he was gonna Hulk up and kick out a Macho Man's elbow, and that was gonna piss us off.
Yeah, that's a transformative moment for the Hardys. I know that.
Yeah,
that was all about you guys just loved your Macho Man, and that was your guy. I mean, who do you think is Hogan's best opponent?
I mean, it's Macho Man was great. I did love their rivalry, especially looking back now, how intense it was. I mean, Andre's going to stand out. Macho Man stands out. Maybe Zeus from the movie, right? Um,
Do you put Sting in there? I mean, we all know
yeah,
Starcade '97 was a disaster, but
yeah.
still the story.
Sting's still a great rival. I love the fact that Lex Luger and Hulk Hogan got to have a bit of a rivalry too.
That's the one thing I will give to Hogan as a heel. Like, for as much as we hear about the creative control and all that stuff, there were a lot of guys who were elevated from working with him.
Yeah, no doubt.
You know, Sting got his moment for better or for worse, even though that's a whole nother conversation that we could have. Luger got his moment. Goldberg got his moment. And, you know, there's something to be said about that.
Right.
At the end of the day. Yeah, I don't know, man. I wish that there was a way I could structure this even more, but I mean, this literally happened as we were about to get into the crux of our conversation about Slammiversary here. And
oh, it is, man. You gotta go with the flow, brother.
yeah, I mean, this is truly one of the biggest wrestling stories ever.
Yeah,
and it happened here, and we're gonna drop this episode early so people can hear what you've got to say and your immediate thoughts about all this. And you know, maybe next week after we've had a week to marinate on it, maybe we can properly put things in context a little more. But is there anything else you want to say about all this Hogan stuff and I don't know what he meant to you for better or for worse as a performer, as a character, as a person? If there's anything you want to bow tie with, please.
I mean, once again, huge icon in pro wrestling, a guy who changed the game, the guy who literally led the movement. He was the face of sports entertainment. You know, he moved pro wrestling in that direction. So for that, I'm very grateful. And the times I worked with him, I had good experiences with him. He was always fine. And it was cool to be able to interact with him and be on the same level as a colleague of someone that you worked with coming up, and being able to interact with him on that level as someone who is, you know, you're working with and you guys are working for the greater good of whatever. I'd like to send out my thoughts and condolences to his kids, you know, his family. And I know there's a ton of Hulk Hogan fans out there that are going to be heartbroken by this. And my thoughts go out to all those guys as well.
Yeah. And, you know, unfortunately, the last few months of his life were marred by a lot of personal life controversy with his ex-wife and his family. And I think more than anything, you hope that everyone made peace at some point, because that's really more than anything the most important thing, because that's just never circumstances you want to go out on life on, and hopefully that someone somewhere found peace on all of that. Yeah, I don't really know, man. I mean, I have a lot that I could say about Hulk Hogan, and I don't know if this is the right platform to. Maybe I'll do that over at Wrestling According to Alba, but it's a monumental loss for the industry, and like if you're looking at the performer himself, it's legacy wise, he's top 3 biggest names in the history of the industry. Like, just no questions asked.
Sure
about that. And there were a lot of matches that were left on the table that never even happened with him. Stone Cold Steve Austin obviously comes to mind, of like what could have been. John Cena, but he still was the biggest. Like, you talk about casual fans, I think Hulk Hogan's probably the most casual wrestling name in the history of the industry.
Absolutely, no doubt.
You know, like, you don't have to know jack shit about wrestling to have heard the name Hulk Hogan. So
yeah, he recognized in every corner of the world. You know,
and I think there's something to be said for that in some way. So yeah, thoughts and condolences to those affected by this and the family of Terry Bollea and Hulk Hogan. And yeah, anything else you want to add here?
No, I mean, I'm glad we pivoted and started talking about the Hulkster. Really is, man, just one of the biggest stars of all time. You know, a legitimate Mount Rushmore.
Yeah. And there are a lot of people who will be much more better suited to cover Hulk's life and career than us here. So I encourage you to seek out a lot of what other people are going to say this week, because it's going to be there's just so much. I mean, we did a bird's eye view here. There's just so much.
Right.
The steroid trial, Arsenio Hall. I mean, everything that encompassed that era with him. It's just so much. But yeah, so if you want to get on board with us here at the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy, advertisewithhardy.com is the place to do that. Promote your business at the Extreme. Get it out in front of thousands of listeners and viewers every single week. Advertisewithhardy.com. And again, we do have our live shows I feel bad plugging all this stuff right now, but we have our obligations to our partners, and we're excited to work with them. The Hardy Party coming to you on August 1st at the Williams Center in Rutherford, New Jersey, SummerSlam weekend. Check that out. Then Kowloon the week later. HardyBoysLive.com is going to be where you want to get those tickets. These are going to be great events, and it's going to be a lot of fun, and we'll put some smiles on some faces here, because that's what wrestling's about, Matt Hardy, right? Like,
yes,
you're supposed to send the crowd home happy.
Smiles on faces and happiness in hearts.
That's right. The words have been spoken. We'll see you next time right here on the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy.
Delete!
My skin's dying because you're under it. I'm done lying to myself for this, for all the wondering, believing, man, it's making me weak. I'll fade away and classify myself as obsolete. My skin's dying. I'm done lying.
We're talking about how to save money with SaveWithConrad.com. All right, folks, take a look at this chart right here. What we're seeing is that the percentage of disposable income that's really just going for debt service here in America is like 11.28%. It's been climbing ever since the pandemic. And what that means is folks are spending a lot of the money they earn today to pay for bills they ran up way back when. Is that you? Are you carrying credit card balances right now? Well, I want to encourage you, stop taking out new debt at really crazy high interest rates. And instead, let's start using some of that equity in your house. Someone who did exactly that was my man, Justin. He's an auto sales manager there in Knoxville, Tennessee. He was looking to do a little home remodeling, and he kind of liked the idea of getting rid of some debt. Well, check out these before and after photos. Justin actually used the equity in his house to turn his home into his dream home. Yeah, and on top of that, we paid off all of his debt, and he even got to skip 2 house payments. Like right now, if you haven't already, you don't have to make your July or your August payment. You're done until September 1st. And come September 1st, you can be saving a boatload of cash. Just ask Justin. He upgraded his house. He got rid of his credit card debt, and he's going to save $1,000 a month. How do you make your house nicer and get rid of your credit card debt and save money? It's easy. You go to SaveWithConrad.com and let my team run the numbers for you for free, just like we did for Justin. By the way, there's no cost, there's no obligation, and if we can't help you save some cash, we won't waste your time. So what are you waiting for? It costs nothing to look. And by the way, if you've been looking to see what rates are doing, let me put your peace of mind in play here. We've got a year 3 guarantee here at SaveWithConrad.com. All the experts seem to agree that interest rates are going to improve over the next few years. Well, I don't want you to miss out on that. So here's an opportunity for you to go ahead and start saving as much money as possible right now, but not waste money later. When interest rates improve, we'll throw you another refi without charging you a whole new set of lender fees. So you're going to save on closing costs later, but you'll start saving money today at SaveWithConrad.com. NMLS number 2129, equal housing lender. And again, you don't need perfect credit. So even if you've had some troubles in the past, you need a plan. We want to be your mortgage advisor for life. Give me a shout at SaveWithConrad.com.